Hello, everyone. My name is Grace, and I'm one of the co-founders of Product Buds alongside Milop, Henrika, and David. And we are so excited to be welcoming all of you to the first ever Product Buds Project Jam Demo Day. Woo! Awesome. I'm super excited. So firstly, a huge shout out to RocketBlocks, Cognity Labs, NoDegree, and Wonsulting for sponsoring this event. They have made this event possible with their generous donations, so give a clapping emoji for all of their support. Thank you. Before we get started, let's give a brief intro of Product Buds. So Product Buds is the fastest growing online community for aspiring product managers. In less than 3 months, we have over 2,000 members globally who are ambitious in their journeys towards becoming the next generation of product managers. And today's event is the culmination of one of the first ever Product Buds initiatives, which is Project Jam. Project Jam was designed for our community of aspiring PMs to get hands-on experience in leveling up their product management skills in a collaborative team setting and build an awesome product to build up their portfolios and resumes for PM recruiting. So next, let's get to the agenda for today. And I'm going to pull up the slide deck for this. So as we can see, we have our lovely speakers and judges, and we'll be giving them an introduction later. But for now, here's the agenda for today. As you can see, we'll first have an opening ceremony and keynote by Jonathan Javier, CEO and founder at Wonsulting and also a Product Buds strategic advisor. Then we'll have our 7 Project Jam finalist pitches. Then we'll have an intermission for judging and a talk by Jerry Lee, also a COO at Wonsulting and a strategic advisor for Product Buds. And then we will have a closing speech by Clement, who is a PM at Blend and also a strategic advisor for Product Buds. And then we will announce the winners of Project Jam. So before we get into all the fun, some housekeeping notes. So for everyone that's attending today, please mute your microphones and hype up that chat. Whenever you see teams that are doing a great job, give them words of encouragement and support. And also feel free to use the clap hands button that you see on Zoom. And also after the event, post about it on LinkedIn because we'd love to see how you felt about it, what you learned. And also the recording of this event will be on the Product Buds YouTube channel. So no worries if you have to step out for a brief moment or anything. So without further ado, let me introduce the legendary Jonathan Javier, who is the CEO and founder of Wonsulting and a Product Buds strategic advisor. He's been supporting the mission of Product Buds since we first launched, and we're so excited to have him give our keynote, and he's going to share his story and insight of him being an underdog turned winner. And so now I'll give the stage to Jonathan to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Grace. Can you guys hear me? Good? All right. All right. First off, everybody, it is Saturday morning here, and I see a lot of people here in the chat, so this is awesome. What is your guys' energy level right now? Let's see, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. Let's see, what is everybody's energy level right now? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. All right, Henrika, that's way too high. Sarah, that's way too high too as well. All right, everybody's at a high level. Okay. Okay. 1. All right, Jerry Lee. Hey, everybody put hashtag just Jerry into the chat, because we need to give him some energy for sure. So, yep, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, everybody. First off, yeah, thank you guys so much for being here on a Saturday morning. Really appreciate it. Product Buds has been an amazing organization to advise. They've taken a lot of the advice that we've been able to give them and been able to grow and scale. So they are amazing to say the least. But quick background about me. So my name is Jonathan Javier, CEO, founder of Wonsulting. And yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about being an underdog and how maybe you guys feel that way too. So Yeah, in 2016, like I had a dream that I would ultimately make it into a tech company, but I still remember the system specifically at my school, and my friends would tell me that you would have to apply to thousands of jobs and you would hear back from one, when in fact, I never heard back from any. Who here has felt that way? If you have, put a sad face into the chat if you have. A lot of you, right? You're like, all right, guys, so let's turn those frowns upside down, okay? So, yeah, and when you think about it, right, you guys are all taking the first step into your careers. Like, what are you all, I'm gonna make this super interactive, by the way. What are you all specifically interested in? Put into the chat what you all are interested in. There's so many different things that you can do right now, and you guys are doing it right now currently, which is you're here on a Saturday morning when you could be sleeping in, like Jerry Lee. I'm just playing Jerry. Like Jerry. You could be sleeping in, you could be resting and relaxing, when in fact you're not. You're taking the first steps into your career and you're making it happen, okay? And so, yeah, I was applying all these jobs. I actually took a look at my messages yesterday and I sent over 5,000 emails and messages to people from Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, Google, Facebook, all of them. And I realized that a lot of them didn't reply. Guess how many replied? Someone give me a percentage. Out of the 5,000, how many responded? Someone give me a percent. 1, 10? Less than 1%. Right? And I always wondered to myself, why are they not responding? Why is nobody there to help me in my career? Who here has felt that way? Who has felt like they've been lonely when they're trying to get into their career with all these rejections? But rejection is simply redirection, okay? And why I tell this story is because when you approach these different professionals and individuals that you want to connect with, you know what you do instead? You show them these projects that you're creating today. Why would you do that? Because no one's gonna do that. Who do you guys think that anybody, if you reached out to someone and said, hey, I did this whole entire project for your company, or that's similarly to your company, and you send it to them, do you think that's better than simply just reaching out? Yes, right? And so that's why it's so important to work on these different projects like you guys are currently doing today. And I told Joseph I wouldn't tell this story, but that's exactly what I did to get into Snapchat. So for Snapchat, I did a project just like you guys, and I specifically planned it to be for Snapchat. Did the project, reached out to a professional, showed them that I did the project, and they actually answered. The 1 out of 5,000 people who sorry, Jerry's roasting me in the chat. 1 out of the 5,000 people who responded. And so when I went to the final interview, I went to Dollar Tree. I got a yellow folder because Snapchat was yellow, and I put my project, I printed it out on resume paper. It's not even a resume. I put it in the yellow folder. I went to the interview, gave it to the hiring manager, and I had a case study, and I did extremely well because the project was literally the same thing as that. And the hiring managers told me, they're like, how did you know our whole entire system, right? And so that's when I pulled out that yellow folder. I gave it to them and I said, I did your whole entire project in my class and in the summer utilizing geolocation technology for Snapchat. They literally looked at each other, they smiled, and 30 minutes later, I got the offer. Coming from UC Riverside, with a school that doesn't get recruited from all these big name companies, and especially in strategy and operations, okay? And so why I share this is because that is why these projects you guys are working on are so important. Because imagine you going to those professionals and saying you've done XYZ for their company, and getting into your careers. So 3 lessons, right? Number 1, always have the drive right here. You see that right here? Always have the drive, okay? The drive comes from people that you associate with. Everybody here who's on this call right now, specifically in Product Buds, you guys drive each other, okay? And remember this, guys. So look at this. So success, right? A lot of people associate success and they think that it's a straight path towards what you're going to achieve, when in fact, it takes hard work. It takes persistence. It takes late nights. Guys, I would stay up late at night. Like I stayed up late at night last night for no reason. I actually dreamed that I was late to this event, low key. I told Henrique that, but it takes hard work, everybody. All the hard work that you put into these projects and to your future initiatives is going to lead to success. So make sure to keep striving for it, okay? Number 2, always have a specific goal in mind, right? Have goals in mind, because if you don't have any goals that you want to specifically achieve, you will never achieve what you call success, right? For example, who here knows who this person is right here? Who is this person? Someone tell me. Who is this guy? Jeremy Lin, right? Who here knows the backstory of Jeremy Lin? So Jeremy Lin, when he graduated, he wanted to make the NBA. And this guy, he had so many things against him. People would judge him based off how he looked. They would think that he wouldn't make the NBA simply because of who he was. He is a Harvard-educated son of a Tiger mom, right? But the thing is, when he got his chance on the New York Knicks, when Mike D'Antoni gave him that chance to go on the court and show who he was and what kind of person and basketball player he was, he showed it. And that's how Linsanity started, as you guys said. He scored 20 points a game, had over 39 points against Kobe, RIP, but he took that chance. You're probably like, why am I telling this story? Because Jeremy Lin is an underdog turned winner. And when he had that chance, he took it. The same for you guys, especially for today. When you have that chance to present to judges, when you have that chance to network and have a call with that professional who works in your dream company or industry, you take that chance. You don't simply say, this is just another phone call or another demo day. You say, I'm going to kill it because this is going to be the first step into my career, into the word we call success. And then last but not least, practice makes perfect. It's okay, guys. It is okay if you are nervous about presenting today. It's totally fine. Like for me, I was super scared of doing public speaking in the beginning, but I just practice. And this is practice too as well, because later on down the road, you're gonna be presenting to all these different senior level executives, etc. And then you'll remember this day. You'll remember this day and be like, wow, today on August 15th, I presented at Demo Day Product Buds, and I was prepared to talk to that senior executive, talk to that hiring manager because of this day. So definitely practice, right? Practice is like spinning a basketball, okay? Now, who here knows how to spin a basketball? Probably not a lot of you. I don't know. I'm just assuming, okay? But anyways, basketball, right? So when you spin a basketball, I still remember when I was trying to spin a basketball and I couldn't spin the ball, right? I remember I tried to do it, but I kept practicing it, right? Kept practicing every single day until I could. And I finally, I didn't do that time. I finally was able to do so. So when you guys are trying to achieve a goal, practice makes perfect. Have that drive, have those goals, because at the end of the day, you can turn from an underdog into a winner. That's all I have to say. I know I'm at 9:46, so bam. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan, for blessing us with your words of wisdom like you do all the time. So everyone, if you were hyped by that, you know what to do. Put hashtag JWoww into the chat. Thank you. All right, so before we get to the long-awaited project pitches, let's give those claps react to our Project Jam judges. We have Kenton Kivestu from RocketBlocks, Christine Cho from LinkedIn, Emma Albert from Workday, Kartik Sundar from Salesforce, John Morgan from Google, and last but not the least, Cheryl Kwan from PlayStation. Now let's welcome our first team who's going to inspire us about something we all miss, traveling. Team Wonder, come on up.
Just a sound check. Is everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect.
Awesome. Just a reminder, you guys have 5 minutes to present, and then you'll hear a little beep, I guess, at 30 seconds remaining, and then your time's up. So your time starts now.
Okay, then we'll start. Hi everyone, thank you for being here today and giving us the opportunity to pitch up Project Wonder. We're composed of 5 highly driven individuals who bonded over our passion for exploring the world. We realized that like us, everyone is different and has a different approach to trip planning, and that there must be a way to cater to and celebrate the uniqueness of each traveler. So through Wander, our mission is to personalize travel exploration, make collaboration amongst friends simple and fun, and to inspire people to explore. Let's talk about our target users. Our target users are mainly people in the US within the age range of 18 to 35 who travel in groups of 3 to 5. Through our user research, we found that 3 out of 4 people find travel planning to be cumbersome. So this insight was really helpful for us. In the current travel planning process, we clearly see the intricacies that users face during the journey. A standard planner on an average switches 23 times between applications during the research session. So they start with resources like TripAdvisor, Instagram, Google, etc. And while these platforms provide a staggering amount of user-generated content, they lack customization and personalization. So searches lead to untailored suggestions, and that's when the question arises. Where should we collaborate? Travelers gravitate towards Google Doc or Sheets, Notes, Map, or all of the above. And while these are some great tools for documentation, they don't specialize in travel planning and thus lack the essential features. Users have to constantly navigate between different platforms because information doesn't flow easily from one tool to the other. And with these pain points in mind, we decided to brainstorm and prioritize features for Wander. This leads us to Emma. She's a target user. Emma is an avid traveler. She takes more than 5 trips a year with a group of friends. And one of her major pain points is needing to use a variety of applications to collaborate on the research points of interest and also to build an itinerary with her friends. So now I'll ask Abhishek to talk about the competitive analysis and how Wander fits in the current picture.
Thanks, Ahana. So what can Emma use today? Aside from TripAdvisor or TripIt, there are a handful of platforms we discovered, but found a single commonality against them: lack of customization, causing poor user experience. And so here Emma uses Sheets. While completely customizable, the information is siloed, leading to a repetitive process. Now imagine if Emma can perform all these actions on a single platform. We believe that we can make her and your next trip planning experience fun and easy. With Wander, Emma can easily add point of interest without having to copy and paste, visualize the places she wants to go to, and then plan out her itinerary with the option to collaborate and share with her friends. Currently, our proof of concept focuses on features for planning and collaboration. Our objective for the first phase of development is to help travelers like Emma plan their group trips, reducing the effort they put in organizing their itinerary. Moving forward, we intend to have 2 more phases for personalizing travel exploration and for inspiring users to explore through gamification. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room: COVID and the effect on the market. Travel is a big market with a direct spending of close to $800 billion on the leisure travel alone. Once we see a vaccine in the market, which we'll see a huge influx in the travel planning space, as many travelers like you and I want to go out and enjoy the beauty around us. Now I'll hand it to Mel for a quick demo. Mel, you're mute.
Yes, I am. Sorry. Okay, you saw me. She landed on Wander. She decides with 3 of her friends. Thank you. To take a short road trip to Las Vegas, and so we see. Okay, so lands on Wander. She types in Las Vegas, and so her cousin recently went, recommended a few restaurants that recently reopened, like Picasso and Wicked Spoon. So she's heard really good things about Wicked Spoon, so she's going to add that to her planner. She can see the price, the rating, hours, so she notes that it's closed Monday through Wednesday, and then rest of the day, rest of the week for lunch. So she doesn't really know where Picasso is, so she's going to go to the map and search for that. She sees in the map that it's actually relatively close to Wicked Spoon, and although it's a little pricey, it's been recommended, has good ratings, so she's going to also add that to the food and drink sections. So she can interact with the map to add additional places, but we'll leave it here for now. So the places that she added on the map also appears in the category section. So here with Picasso, I can also see the hours. They're closed on Tuesday, so maybe they'll plan their trip around Thursday to Saturday. And then once they're ready, she can add additional places. She'll share the planner with her friends so that they too can add places that they want to go to. And then they can use the calendar view to easily build their itinerary. So maybe go to Wicked Spoon on Thursday for lunch, and then Picasso for dinner. That's it. Thanks so much. Now we'd like to open the floor to questions.
Thank you, Team Wander. Now, judges, you have 1 minute to ask your questions or give your comments. And team, they will be giving their comments all at once. So please take notes so you don't miss anything. Let's start with Kenton from RocketBlocks.
Thank you. Great presentation. I think the key question, one of the key questions I have looking at is how are you planning to monetize? What's the model here of how a user like Emma would actually pay or someone else would pay to provide this service?
Next, we have Chris.
Sorry, you cut out, so I think you were talking to me.
Yeah.
I have a question for if this is meant to solve for all travel logistics, like how would you incorporate where you're transporting from, like transportation and lodging, and how that fits into the picture as well.
Emma.
Yeah, I will say it was a great presentation. Loved your persona, great name. And my question is, how would users find out about your product?
Karthik.
Yeah, well done, guys. I'm curious, what do you think is your competitive advantage here, and how do you see yourself protecting, from a larger company like TripAdvisor themselves, poaching in something like this?
And John.
Great presentation, guys. My question's about collaboration. Like right here, it seems like a very one-person type product, but how would you bring in the rest of the group into something like this?
Cheryl.
Great presentation. The question I have is about when you're going on a trip with friends, some people might be more price conscious. So how would you how do you think about splitting cost with your friends?
Thanks for all the great questions, judges. Now, team, your 4 minutes to answer those should start now.
Okay. I would first like to clarify the point on monetization. So in the past 2 months, this question did come up to us because we did focus a lot on providing a great user experience, but simultaneously, we do have a few revenue channels in mind. We are thinking of hosting advertisements on our platform as a way to generate revenue. We're also thinking of affiliate fees by collaborating with other platforms like Airbnb. And we were also thinking of making some customized trips for the users to use. So I think these are some of the ways by which we can monetize the platform. And Abhishek, would you like to take the next question?
So yeah, I'll take the next question, which was about how will user found about the product. So I think just because of the quick time, we were not able to describe about the collaboration part of the application. Users can actually collaborate in this platform. So I think when a planner is planning a trip, he can actually share the trip with his friends. So the idea about how everyone will found about the product is through the word of mouth initially. And I think if at all we build a user platform which is actually of use for our travelers, then I think word of mouth will be a biggest strategy for us in terms of marketing standards. I think, yeah. Mel, do you want to take the next question about the competitive advantage? Mel, your mic is off, is it?
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, so competitive advantage. So one of the things that we're focusing on is pre-trip and also the planning aspect, because we want to leverage the planning data and usage patterns to cater our product not to, let's say, an audience of millions, but to millions of individuals. And I think that is one thing that we want to focus on in the next phase, which is personalization. So the thing with TripAdvisor, sure, there's a lot of user-generated content, but I think you could even argue that they offer too many choices and travelers can't easily find what applies to them, creating confusion or even alienation instead of creating that one-to-one connection. And so we really want to focus on enhancing the user experience, the discovery, and also the personalization.
And I would like to add one more point. Through our extensive user research, we figured out that most of the people who use TripAdvisor, they find the whole platform a chaotic platform. They don't understand where to start with. So that was our key point when we started looking for a feature for Wander. And then we came up with the planning concept.
I would just like to add a few points to, I think, sum up all the questions that we were asked right now. So right now, our basic motive is to provide a great user experience for the users and to provide a value to users so that we can create a niche in the market, which right now is creating a platform for just planning. There are a few platforms available which act as repository for resources, but our motive right now is to create a planner, which we find is not really present in the market. Those which are present do not really offer an intuitive design. So that is how we want to cater to the user base. And apart from that, there was the question about collaboration. For that, I'd like to say that in the demo, we were not able to show that particular feature because that's still under development, but we plan to introduce an option where just like other big platforms like Google Docs and Sheets, people will be able to share the planner.
Yeah, thank you. Now time is up. So thank you, Team Wander. That was amazing, and we were inspired seeing all of that and just recalling all your travel inspiration. So thank you. Now, before we start with our second team, I just want to give a reminder. So we will have timing cues. We will have a 30-second timer, and when time is up, we'll have a timer indicating that as well. We'll also be taking down screen sharing to cue the presenters that time is over. So on to our second team, who's helping companies and job candidates with the interview feedback process, something that is so relevant, especially during this recruitment season. Let's welcome Team Boomerang.
All right. Hey everyone, we are Boomerang and we're here to talk to you about the problems that cloud the interview feedback process. Imagine you've just been rejected for what feels like the 1,000th time. After all that hard work and reaching out asking for feedback, surely you'll receive at least a quick email and explanation. But no, nothing. Just a quick, we decided to go another way. A LinkedIn-led study found out that out of the 94% of candidates who want feedback, 60% of them don't even receive it. Of those that don't receive feedback, 77% of them were ghosted by their interview. And even for those who were lucky enough to receive feedback, 76% of candidates found the feedback to be completely useless to them. At this point, it's clear that current forms of feedback and post-interview processes are not effective in addressing the goals of candidates.
So why don't companies give feedback? There are three main obstacles that they face: lack of time due to hundreds of interviews, fear of legal implications from misinterpreted feedback, and complex hiring processes that prevent connecting the person who wrote the feedback from sharing it with candidates. This is where Boomerang comes in. Using Boomerang, we can bring value to both parties through trading feedback. Candidates must complete a feedback form for the company in order to receive their interview feedback. Boomerang will then facilitate this exchange with specific and constructive forms that address the obstacles that companies face. Companies want to give feedback because giving feedback is investing in future talent. From our research, we found that candidates who receive feedback will share their positive experience online and with peers, improve their skills, and are 4 times more likely to consider future opportunities with the company.
Let's meet our users. This is Christina. She is studying CS and aspires to land a software engineering internship. As a budding software engineer, what she needs is actionable feedback on her performance that would tell her specifically which areas to improve on after the interview process. However, she was intimidated by the fact that asking her interviewer would jeopardize her relationship with the company. Now, let's meet Eric. He's a university recruiter and wants to ensure that the best candidates are hired for each position. Eric needs a way to maintain positive company image in the eyes of university talent, but as a recruiter struggles to keep up with the large amounts of messages and requests from students. By using Boomerang, Eric will be able to pinpoint the flaws in Tecto's hiring processes and gain insights on the company's brand image as well as candidate experience. On top of that, Christina would also be able to receive constructive feedback on her interview performance, allowing her to develop as an aspiring young professional through Tecto's help.
So now for a quick run through of our demo. Boomerang provides applicant tracking system integration, meaning that companies that use an ATS can use its existing API to seamlessly preload information onto our platform, such as job roles, applicant names, and their associated information. Our platform has 2 different dashboard views, one for the candidate and one for the interviewer. So right now you're looking at the candidate side. And with our platform, Christina is able to keep track of all the interviews that she's had, see which companies that she has given and received feedback from, as well as companies that she still needs to submit feedback to. After her interview with Eric, she needs to submit a feedback form on Tecmo's recruiting process, where she can answer questions provided by Eric, submit the form, and wait for Eric to submit his feedback on her interview. As for the company dashboard, Boomerang allows for the creation of templated feedback forms called stock roles, where Eric can easily create criteria on both behavioral and technical questions tailored to each job role. Once the stock role is created, Eric can fill out a feedback form with the preloaded criteria that he indicated earlier, indicate Christina's strengths and weaknesses, make general comments on her interview, as well as add any additional details that she might have been tested on that weren't included in the original stock role.
All right, so initially Boomerang plans to target small to mid-sized companies within the tech industry. This is because we've seen the most willingness to adopt new software products in this space and recognize the challenges presented by changing a formalized hiring process in an established company. Furthermore, these companies place a ton of value in their strong external reputations and prioritize the candidate experience. On the candidate side, our initial target market represents approximately 195,000 new computer science graduates from US colleges. On the business side, we're looking at approximately 6,000 technology startups who would potentially be able to adopt our software. I lost my mouse here. Sorry. Oops. There we go, I think. Sorry about technical difficulties here. There we go. Okay, so we have a number of features in our post MVP backlog, as you can see here, that will bring immense value to both the company and candidate experience. These include AI integrations, improved data visualization, and finally, different user access levels for different parties involved. As you could see before, I'm not sure what slides are visible right now because my Wi-Fi is struggling, but as you could see before, that was our team behind Boomerang. And then finally, our last slide here was our amazing mentor, Michael Barnes, who has been invaluable throughout this entire process. We want to give a big shout out to him. And then lastly, we want to thank the judges and audience for helping us improve the post-interview process.
Amazing. Thank you, Team Boomerang. You wrapped it up really flawlessly despite the technical difficulties. So great job.
Yeah, that Wi-Fi was hairy.
Okay, now for our judges. We'll start the 1 minute. Team, please take note of the questions and comments so you can address them all. Let's start with Emma this time.
Sure, great presentation. My question is, who are your competitors in this market?
Okay, now let's go with Christine.
This is very well researched. I love seeing all the statistics that you were sharing, so thank you for that. My question is about the marketplace model. I can see businesses having a need for this continuously, but what about the consumer side once they are hired? What is your plan for keeping retention?
Thank you, Christine. Kartik?
Yeah, so I'm curious, how does having this software bypass the legal challenges that exist, right? That you guys highlighted as the pain point. And if those don't exist, how do you basically, for example, Greenhouse, a recruiting software firm, everyone's on it already, right? How do you go to market, and what's your value proposition that will allow people to either use both the platforms or basically transition over to your platform?
Thank you. Cheryl?
Great analysis. I love the analysis of the space, the profile, etc. My question is around what is the competitive advantage for the companies to use this? It seems like the software you're proposing for the company looks like a application software they may already have.
Thank you. John?
My question's about business model. And if you guys are planning to be more of a standalone software that someone would have to like bounce between, or you plan on being like an add-on software to one of these recruiting tools that might be out there?
Great question. And Kenton?
Thanks, guys. So I think this was a really good presentation. The two things I really loved are, one, very clear articulation of the pain point. I think everyone's been on the receiving end of this. You apply for a job you really want, you don't get the feedback. It's really frustrating because you want to get better. I also think the discussion of the company blockers of what blocks companies from giving good feedback was really good. The two things that, one sort of key question for you guys is, how are you thinking about go-to-market? There's a ton of established players in the ATS space, and as Kartik alluded, like everyone's sort of got their solution already. So I think the challenge for a product like this is, how do you plug into one of those ATSs? How do you get into someone's business flow in terms of the recruiting pipeline? I think that's going to be a big challenge. So I'd love to hear how you guys are thinking about that. And then on the legal front, just a small note is, one thing I was thinking about, how do you actually solve that legal challenge of the company providing feedback, is maybe as a condition of using the actual product and getting the feedback, the candidate might sort of like sign a waiver that they're not going to take legal action after seeing feedback from a company. It might be a nice way to handle that, and a good incentive. Like, I might waive my right to see what the company honestly thought about my performance. So good job overall, though.
Thank you. Okay, now team, ready for your 4-minute timer to start start answering all of the questions. So your time starts now.
Great, yeah, thank you so much, judges. So I can take the first question about who our primary competitors are. So ValuesFit and After Interview are our two main competitors. ValuesFit's primary focus is not providing candidates with feedback, and they also lack a simple setup process due to our ATS integration capabilities, which would be crucial to helping recruiters onboard without being overwhelmed. In terms of After Interview, they have a larger focus on providing interviewees feedback, but they also lack ATS integration, and feedback requests are sent directly to the recruiter or the recruiter's email. And by using Boomerang, this eliminates the possibility of requests getting lost in the hundreds of emails already in working professionals' inboxes every day through our centralized platform. And overall, both platforms do not have the ability that allows companies to customize and easily create actionable candidate experience or interview feedback forms based on their skills evaluated for the role.
Sweet. So I believe it was Christine who asked about the marketplace model and our plan for retention, right? So this is a two-sided app, right? There's the company side of things and there's the candidate side of things. And yes, what you're hinting at there is a very real problem, which is that the candidates are, as of now, not going to be perpetual users of Boomerang, right? So what we're looking at from a retention side is actually the company adoption, where if a company adopts Boomerang and is able to incorporate it into their existing application hiring process, then our value proposition there is that, you know, as they get more familiar with it and stay on board, they'll continually use it for people coming in for those entry-level positions throughout the entirety of the company's career, or company's existence, I should say. And then, yeah, that's essentially the retention piece right there. Let me know if there's anything I missed. The third one about legal challenges preventing current feedback, and then also about ATS from Kartik. Those are kind of two great questions hitting at some very key concepts. So for the legal things, as Kenton talked about actually, so one of our legal initiatives that we're considering is, yes, including in our terms and conditions some sort of waiver stating that feedback provided on Boomerang can't be used for legal action. This is something that, you know, none of us are law students and none of us really have background in this space. But it's something that we've thought about and, you know, plan to get more expert input on going forward. And then if we can't, you know, bring that reality into fruition, then what we're going to try and do is essentially do our best to encourage clear, positive, and constructive word choice in the application form verbiage. We don't believe as a platform that it's our position to vet what companies are going to say for feedback at all. But we're still going to do our best to, you know, avoid this legal issue, because we understand and, you know, want to avoid it going forward, because it can be a major holdback for companies. Then as far as ATS integration goes and getting companies on board with this thing, right? So yeah, we, in our market research funds and just from past experience, have seen that companies are using Talio, Greenhouse, a bunch of different ATSs across the board to keep track of their applicants through the whole pipeline. Our plan is to integrate with the applicant tracking system via the ATS APIs. So a lot of these services have solid APIs in which you can pull candidate information directly into Boomerang. And we're going to use those to essentially auto-generate records within our platform for feedback. This then pairs with the stock roles, right? So all candidates who've applied for a software engineering internship with position ID 123, then automatically are assigned stock role, the stock role feedback form that we have in our platform for that position.
Regarding the competitive advantages of, our company, I'll try to be really quick. Essentially, we found through our research that companies really value recruitment feedback, and that's something that a lot of them mentioned, and that's why this trade-off is one way to really incentivize candidates to give that feedback, where otherwise they would not fill out the survey that the company already has. And this is incredibly important for smaller companies who don't have their own systems or flushed out recruitment processes. For business model, we thought about a tiered, Thank
you. But that was really great though. You hit a lot of points in there. So thank you, Team Boomerang. Now give it up for our third team, who came together to solve for a problem that their high school selves needed as underrepresented minorities. Everyone, let's welcome Cumulus. You might be muted.
All right, can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. So we're Team Cumulus. Representing us today is me, Joyce, Sharif, and Christy. And our mission here is to uncloud the tech industry by helping underrepresented minorities in high school explore the limitless opportunities available in higher education. All right. So let me start off by introducing you to my friend Ruby. Ruby's a Black American female high school student, and she, like many of us a couple of years ago, well, she started questioning what she wants to do with her life, career, and college-wise. Let's say she decides to look into the tech industry. If she does a simple search online in the tech field, she'll see demographics like this: a field saturated and dominated by Caucasian and Asian males. And it's really tough for Ruby to imagine herself in this industry since she doesn't really see anybody who looks like her. And this might discourage her because of the lack of representation. But let's say despite this lack of representation, Ruby decides to keep looking into tech. She has two options. First, the internet. However, the problem with online resources is that there's an overload of information online. And the second thing she could do is maybe look into guidance counselors in her high school resources. However, it's clear that public school counselors are outnumbered, and many do lack the proper training for her to help. Our external research findings were also very bolstered by the results from our user research. We sent out a Google form to high school students all across the United States to get their thoughts on their college and career discovery processes. And the results were pretty straightforward. A majority of students expressed this uncertainty when it came to figuring out exactly what they wanted to do in the future. And 86% specifically indicated that they don't participate in an existing community or mentorship platform, and they expressed interest, showing a viability and a need for our product.
Now we'll be moving into user pain points. Student feedback from our user research showed a lack of distinct guidance from counselors and school systems, as students cited that they yearn for more exposure to tech in high school. Here's where our solution comes in. We made a quiz which personalized points of interest to give students clarity of fields they like, mentors to engage with, and keywords determining matches. Our user research also showed that students felt overwhelmed by an abundance of resources, as students cited themselves not understanding the vast field of technology and yearning for a consolidated information source. Our solution to this widely heard problem was to implement succinct and approachable modules that teach students how to pursue careers, mentors, and communities to reach out to. Additionally, the third pain point we identified was students not knowing how to transfer schooling and their majors into careers. In our user research, students cited wishing to learn more about different jobs and wanted to gain confidence to pursue careers that they really wanted to go into. And they also felt that it'd be helpful to really see the daily life of someone in technology. And our solution to this was to have a mentorship platform that would allow people in the technology industry to be able to be mentors to these students and for them to connect together and for these students to really learn about a specific career and learn the daily life of someone in technology.
Great, so now that we've talked a little bit about our product, now we're gonna assess our competitive advantages. So while other platforms have more niche interest audience and individual resources like product or coding, Cumulus actually offers compiled resources for all newcomers who might not even know what's out there in tech. With Cumulus, we provide resources through our career explorations. While Ruby was once overwhelmed with the numerous online resources available, she can now complete Cumulus career explorations where she can get an overview of the field, meet mentors in that field, and dive deeper into recommended external resources like videos, articles, online courses, and Slack channels. While other platforms provide industry mentors, Cumulus features both industry mentors and university students to provide peer-to-peer perspectives and shortens the experience gap. With Cumulus, students have the opportunity to meet mentors and keep track of all the mentors they've connected with through their dashboard. And finally, while other platforms address targeted demographics, Cumulus curates and offers a multitude of communities based on specific interests and career paths for a diverse, inclusive demographic. Cumulus is an inclusive space that welcomes all types of communities. While Ruby didn't have the chance to connect with all others from similar backgrounds, she now has the opportunity to do so. So our work with Cumulus is still ongoing, and after this project jam, we want to continue improving our platform. First, we're going to implement additional features based on the feedback that we gathered from user testing with 6 high school students, starting with the features as seen on the right. We're also going to partner with high school career centers and guidance counselors to direct high school students to Cumulus when they first approach their counselors needing additional career advice. Finally, we want to expand our team by mobilizing an engineering team to get started on developing the platform. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate any feedback. And our team is now ready for questions.
Thank you so much, Team Cumulus. That was great. Now let's move on to Q&A. So let's start with Karthik this time.
Yeah, I think this is a great problem to solve for, guys. It was really nice to see this come up as a project. I wasn't very clear on how you're actually uniquely serving underrepresented minorities, because it seemed more of a general platform for students. Maybe could you just clarify, even in your product, what is unique in terms of helping out underrepresented minorities?
Great question. Next we have Christine.
I love the idea. I think it's very timely. Great user story. I wish I had had something like this in high school. I will say that I'm not clear what the success metric is here. Like, what outcome are you trying to drive the users toward? And then lastly, just think in terms of just as a suggestion, monetization. With a high school center probably not being a good source of primary revenue, I would sort of lean more on corporate sponsorships, since this is such a hot topic right now. Just a suggestion there.
Thank you. Kenton?
Thank you for the presentation. I definitely sort of agree with the problem space, and I'm glad to see you guys are thinking about it. One of the big sort of questions I had as I was thinking about it is a lot of the sort of value of the platform seem to come from mentorship and guidance from folks that have already gone down the path or partway in that career. And one of the things I think is tough about that is, how do you keep those people engaged? What's the retention model for that? How do you make sure that the sort of value trade for them works as well, so that they're willing to provide that information on a recurring basis and to be present, to provide mentorship, et cetera? So I'd be curious how you guys are thinking about that.
Thank you. Emma?
Yeah, so it looks like one of the things when you first log in as a user is you take this quiz. What is this quiz backed by? Is it backed by any science? And how does it differentiate, or how is it differentiated between anything else that exists already, like something like StrengthsFinder?
And John?
Thanks. Hey guys, this is a great presentation. Sort of 2 areas that jumped out at me. I know you had focused on high school. I was wondering your thoughts on if this actually bleeds well into college students as well, and like why high school focus versus college focus if you're thinking career. And then the second is monetization. Like, what is your thoughts on who would be the support network? Is it company? Is it like community that just like is more volunteer? Like, where do you actually see it plugging in and providing that value?
And Cheryl?
Great problem space. Similar to everyone here, I want to understand more about the user goal. Is it about discovery of a career or nailing down where you want to go in your path? Also, how would you plan on monetizing? What does the user engagement model look like? And also lastly, who are your competitors and where are the competitive advantages?
Thank you. Now, team, you have 4 minutes to answer all the questions, and I'll play a timer on the 30-second mark to make sure we stay within time. And your 4 minutes starts now.
Awesome. Thank you, judges, for your questions. It was amazing for you guys to point out these points. To Karthik, to answer your first question on how we're serving underrepresented minorities. So we actually did not discuss this on the pitch deck because of the restricted time, but we do plan on making this Cumulus platform restricted to only underrepresented minorities. So a lot of us recognize that, yeah, Caucasians and Asians are dominant in the tech field, and males especially, but the point of Cumulus is to make this resource available available for low-income areas or like underrepresented minorities. So how we would do that is we would probably launch this product in those states that have a higher population of underrepresented minorities to access those users.
And just another feature about our platform is obviously the communities portion. And so that's also how we want to address like the underrepresented minorities, and that they don't really have a group of people that they can interact with who look like them, and they can just talk about all things tech. So that's how we wanted to address underrepresented minorities in that way.
Yeah, and then moving on to like Christine's question about like success metrics and monetization, really, I think we're looking forward in terms of success metrics is seeing students succeed, going into the technology world, and then coming back to really give back to the community. So we could share stories of students who really succeeded and thrived with our program, and coming back to be the mentors as well to help the younger generation as well. So to become like a foundation and a bit of a pipeline towards other jobs and other places as well. And in terms of monetizations, we're really looking towards partnerships with philanthropic organizations and company sponsorships as well. So we could have a wide variety of major tech companies supporting this initiative and be funding it through there, and beginning to have a pipeline from Cumulus to the bigger tech companies.
Yeah, exactly. And just to add on to Sharif's point, basically a lot of companies nowadays be able to sponsor organizations like this and diversity and inclusivity initiatives. They'll actually get tax benefits and other things as well. So having some sort of way to set up to have companies partner with us and have them funnel the money, and also that way they also have mentors, have like a program so they can also hold accountability with each other, so they are mentoring their students. And then Kenton, to answer your question about how we'll maintain retention of mentors. Again, like I mentioned, partnering with companies and holding them accountable, having some sort of organization like that. I know a lot of companies have like volunteer hours and offer benefits for employees that take time out of their day to give back to the community. And then we also talked about having college mentors. So being able to partner with like professional sororities or frats, having these fraternities have volunteer hours and be mentors as well. That's another way that we can have mentor retention.
Yeah, and just adding on to that, at least I know in my college there's a lot of like career-oriented groups that always have like volunteering mentorship programs that they work for, and so that I'm pretty sure that they will be willing to like offer their services for Cumulus as well.
Yeah. And then to move on to Emma's question about the quiz, I think that's a great question. Actually, me and Sharif did a lot of intense research when we were building this quiz. We realized a couple pain points with quizzes out there itself. One, they're asking a lot of deep questions out there. Some of the questions are things that high school students typically wouldn't have considered at such a young age. So that was the first problem with quizzes out there already. Another thing was that they were really long. So if you take any sort of like personality test, those are like 70 questions long, and it's kind of a chonker for you to get through. So our goal was to take these things that the quiz was looking for and insights and used it and worded it in a way that high school students would understand, such as like, what type of person are you in a group project? Are you a leader? Are you the slacker? Are you whatever? Just to see where your values are at, but in a way that's kind of on a higher level away from like the deeper questions. So high school students aren't like, whoa, this is what I have to consider when I'm going into college. So yeah, we've done a lot of intense research, and it's actually backed by the NYU method of the 4 different categories that help a student determine their college major, which is values, skills, interests, and personality.
Yeah, and just to address John's question about whether this can bleed well into like college students, I definitely think that it can work for college students as well. But our goal with Cumulus is to allow high school students to gain exposure early on, because at least for us, we didn't really get the chance to find the right people in high school to get inspired by to look into areas in the tech industry.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, team. We can really see how much research you've done with how confident you are in answering all those questions. So great job for sure. Now we'll move on to our 4th team, who aims to build the next Airbnb for electronics rental. Tecto, you're up next. And just a quick reminder for everyone, you know the sequence where you are presenting, so make sure to unmute your mics so we can save time that way.
All right, I'll start. Hi everyone, we're Tecto, which is a peer-to-peer gear rental startup offering expensive equipment for rent, such as cameras and drones. First off, the amazing team behind Tecto. I'm Akshita, in charge of marketing and creative. Yogi manages sales and PM, Lakshmi handles data and technology, Alex oversees operations and projects, and Hong drives growth and content. The problem we're trying to solve is the use of expensive electronics. The average cost of a professional camera is $3,000, and it is used only 3 times per year. This results in a lot of professionals who have equipment sitting at home with no use and stores having high return rates. To get an idea of the market, we spoke to 54 hobbyists and professionals. We found that 73% of renters are willing to pay to rent electronics, and 59% of owners want to rent out their equipment. We've come to the conclusion that people who rent equipment want a one-stop solution to find and rent the electronics. And owners would like to earn money on unused equipment while being insured properly. So exactly who are our customers? Group 1 is the renter, who wants easy access to equipment without having to purchase them. They are tech-savvy, adventurous, and want to try various types of equipment without spending a fortune. Group 2 is the owner, who wants to recoup the cost of purchasing expensive equipment by renting out to like-minded professionals. They are creative, scrappy, and field experts. Both groups we found are 18 and older and are professional photographers, videographers, and DJs. The Tecto rental platform is basically an Airbnb for cameras, DJ controllers, and drones. The site configurations are slightly different for renter mode and owner mode, but the general process is illustrated here. An owner would post an item for a renter searches for and books an item, and the 2 parties meet up for a handover. The renter makes use of the equipment and returns it in the decided time period.
You have 2 phases for the product. For renters, the goal is to allow them to find items that they want near them at a price that they can afford. And we also offer them a full spec sheet of all the items on our platform. Whereas for the owners, the goal is to allow them to rent out the items with full insurance, track their earnings, and that way they can make it profitable while the platform remaining convenient for the owners to use. But you might wonder what makes Tecto unique and why you should use our product, because Tecto is more than just an electronics rental platform. We're actually a community of creative artists, filmmakers, and hobbyists. So by that, I mean we have weekly blogs on the creative arts. We have bi-weekly meetups for you to meet like-minded professionals and hobbyists. But our biggest value proposition is that we partner with electronic stores because they have a lot of unused equipment that can be put out in the market, which is also more convenient because people can just pick up items from stores more conveniently than meeting up with an owner. Here we have our solution, which is an Airbnb design, inspired design. And on the main page, we have our extensive links to all the different things we do as a community. And when you search for an item, you get clear listings with the prices, the reviews, and the ratings, and also the distance from your location. When you click on any listing, you can see a quick call to action with no hidden fees, and also a text spec summary for the item that you clicked on. Now, let's talk money. From our renters, we charge a 15% fee for every rental, and a 3%, that's from our owner. And from the renter, we charge a 3% convenience fee to cover the transaction charges. But in the long term, we also hope to monetize the data around customer purchasing behavior and rental behavior with other companies that are looking to get that data. Our market reach is, we aim to get 17,000 customers, which is 1% of our entire serviceable addressable market out of a total addressable market of 4.8 million customers. As for the market size, currently in the US, $8.5 billion is the annual spend on rentals in the electronic space. We also did some competitive research, and the part where we fit in at Tecto is the spectrum between electronics rental in a peer-to-peer basis, with the indirect competitors being Amazon, eBay, and direct competitors being KidSplay. In the long term, the goal of the roadmap is for the next 4 quarters is to first spend time on acquiring early adopters, drive bookings to 100 per week, and slowly add more products and markets. Ladies and gentlemen, we have at Tecto the dream to revolutionize electronic rentals, but we need your support to get there. And I hope that you all find and share the vision that we do in changing the lives of people one rental at a time. Thank you. We'd like to take it to the questions now.
Thank you so much. Just right on time, Tecto. Now let's hear it from the judges. Can we start with John?
Hey guys, great presentation. I'm just going to put some feedback out there versus questions this time. I did a stint at GetAround, which does sharing economy for cars. So things that are really valuable that you guys can think about is what's your actual cost of customer acquisition to lifetime value, both of the user going into rent and the owner of the electronics. Unit economics in this space is so important. Things that people often don't think about here is support costs and insurance costs. The insurance industry is actually coming around to the sharing economy, but it's like super, super new. So just like be careful because those things they'll take advantage of you. And the last area to think about that often people don't bring up is what happens to those, like you talked about stores. What happens to them? Like what incentivizes them to rent versus sell, just given the margins?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for the presentation. I echo a lot of John's points, so I won't dwell on those, but the other thing that was sort of on my mind is competitive differentiation. I don't know this space particularly well, but I feel like I've heard of a bunch of these marketplaces out there. At one point I did use borrow lenses in the past. And so the question of like, it seems like a viable business. I think the question is, how are you really different than what's out there already today? At one point, I think in one of the 2x2s, it looked like you were focusing more on the peer-to-peer side. But then I think on another slide, you talked about how one of the key points would be that you'll get stores to rent their equipment, which feels less peer-to-peer. And so I think really thinking about how you guys differentiate once you figure out like the LTV versus CAC question that John was mentioning is a key thing that I was curious about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Emma?
Yeah, I thought this was really interesting. The whole sharing concept is really cool. My question is around how you expect people to really rent these products for only a day or a short period of time. When you're talking about these more advanced electronics, there is a ramp up in your learning how to use it. For example, if you're going to pick up a DSLR for the first time, it's probably not easy to use. And how are you going to accommodate that learning curve with these products and convince someone that renting is a good option?
Cool, thank you.
Let's go with Christine.
Great presentation. Love the idea of reusing what exists rather than going out and buying something new. Couple questions. What is your win-back strategy if a consumer happens to have a really bad experience? You could really lose that customer for good if they get their camera back, it's destroyed, whatever. Second question is, how do you make this coronavirus proof? I think you were saying the exchange happens in person. So how would that work during a pandemic? Lastly, just a suggestion, you might have an increased TAM, more traction if you also considered B2B and exchanging like heavier equipment or things that are unused right now because different businesses are suffering.
Cool, thank you.
Next, Cheryl.
Great presentation, interesting space. Two questions here is, how do you plan on launching this for go-to-market? Which areas would you start first, as in the market itself, and also like just state or city, whatever? The second question is, how would you address safety concerns? So there could be fake posts, there could be offline safety concerns when you're meeting up with a stranger, or someone just doesn't give back your equipment. How would you plan on addressing those?
Got it. Thank you.
Kartik?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting problem space, guys. I think just on the competitive landscape, I was surprised you guys left out Facebook with their marketplace. It seems like, you know, if they wanted to make a move, they could make a move fairly easily. And second, I think just adding on to the COVID thing, right? People don't want to necessarily, I think in the next 2 years, at least till COVID is solved, use things that someone else touches, right? How do you solve for that, right? Yeah, I think one of the judges brought up meeting in person, but just adding on to that, like how do you solve for the fears where, why would I use something that someone else has used already? How do you solve for that from a product perspective?
Cool.
Got it.
Now team, you have 4 minutes to answer the questions.
Okay, I'm just going to dive right in from the order of questions. Firstly, for the differentiation factor, how are we different? Which I think one of the things that our direct competitor KidSplit does not do right now is that they don't have a dedicated community or a blog. So it's more of just you rent and use the product. And if you know how to use the product, you can use it. But if you don't, there's no incentive to really try it out. But with us, we do have that community that we're trying to build with the networking sessions, with the extensive user guides for all the products on our platform. And the goal is to also pay some people like freelancers to make this content. And I think that is the way that we believe we can truly differentiate, at least right now at the early stage. Secondly, there was a question about how we expect people to go through the learning curve of products. And again, this is where our tutorials and the user guides that we've curated and built out. By user guides, we don't just mean the user manual that you get with the product. It is going to be how to use a DSLR, what is a frame rate, what is an ISO, what kind of settings will you be able to use to take a good photograph in the wild. That kind of stuff would be curated content that we make out for our users and both professionals and hobbyists. There was also a question about the win-back strategy. And from what I know, I think for the win-back strategy, if someone has a really bad experience, there actually was someone who had a really bad experience with KidSplit, the direct competitor that I mentioned. Honestly, the fastest or the best way is to directly reach out to them, empathize with them, understand exactly what their problem is, what caused the problem, and make sure that no other customers, or like minimize the possibility of any other customers facing that. And kind of it reminds me of something that Toyota uses at their factory, which is called the and-on system, which is when something breaks, you stop kind of everything to see what exactly caused the problem and you fix it. So you can take a similar approach to customer success, as in what exactly causes problem. Let's fix this first, and make sure no one else goes through that issue again. And in the long term, when you win back a customer, you also earn their trust again, or solidify the trust a lot more. As for the coronavirus thing, we do on the website or on the mockup itself have a COVID-19 advisory. So if you click on that advisory, you'll see that we ensure that all the items in the listings are properly sanitized before and after every rental, basically. And right now, the reason why we chose to go with Meetup is because partnering with logistics firms takes time. And the idea is to get customers on board in a niche city. And if you look at our slides in the appendix, we plan to start off in NYC because of the sheer concentration per kilometer square or mile square of creative artists. So if you can validate your model in that right now, you can make sure that products in the long term, you can partner with delivery firms and go with it. Karthik, yeah, you can go for a quick follow-up.
How do you ensure that things are being cleaned? You might have a notice, but how do you ensure it?
I guess there's no way to fully know how much bacteria is left on the thing. It also works on trust, because if it's not clean, you're not going to get a listing. No one's going to rent your product after a bad review again.
Yeah, so just really quick on that, Yogesh, sorry, I know we're running out of time. I was just more curious if you can set like a 2-day limit, right? You could, just like Airbnb does, because with inanimate objects, there is a time period after which the virus dies out. I was just curious about that. Cool.
Yeah, that might be actually a really good idea. We should look into that more. But I can ask one last question before we run out of time, which is the safety concerns and ensure products are returned. So we actually have 3 tiers of insurance, and renters are required to pick one tier. Each of them comes with a different premium and different coverage. So if you lose or break something, you are covered by insurance for your products.
Thank you so much. Great job hammering all those questions down. Now we move to our next team. Up next, we have a team whose product concept is inspired by the influence of modern media consumption in society. Newsbuds, take it away.
All right, I'm going to start. Hi, my name is Julia, and I'm presenting with Eileen. We are Newsbuds, and we're aiming to establish trust in modern news consumption with our news aggregator. Go ahead, Eileen.
Okay.
The presidential election, COVID-19, and recognition of racism are the most pressing topics being discussed across all news media channels today. Political polarization refers to the increasing divide in belief between the liberals and conservatives. This divide lowers the probability of bipartisan compromise, which often leads to exacerbation of current issues and delayed solutions. News and media in the modern age play a major part in escalating political polarizations. Political polarization is a problem within people, and mass and news social media commitments towards personalizing users' experience confirm the user's bias and intensifies the political polarization even more. Today, around 90% of Americans, or 144 million people, access news and information through their mobile devices. Half of them believe that media is very biased, and recently more than 1/3 lost trust in the news source to give accurate information. Despite the substantial number of news consumers, we found that most people are unsatisfied with how they take in news.
So Jane is our user persona. She's an American college student who wants a better way to consume news. She wants to be better civically engaged, but can get overwhelmed by the abundance of information and does not have the time to verify the credibility of every news source. So she sticks to her trusted sources. And she often sees polarizing arguments on social media, which makes her uncomfortable sharing her political opinions because she worries it may create tension between others. Jane's pain points translate to issues shared by many Americans today. The lack of diverse voices, transparency, and fulfilling civil conversations are problems the current media environment perpetuates. Tackling these issues is important in overcoming political polarization because it costs Americans trust in the media. The lack of diverse voices in mainstream media is impacted by the lack of diversity of employees at news companies. This data shows the racial demographics of employees in 2 different publications, showing how employees working in these newsrooms are mostly white and how little that diversity has improved over 17 years. We aim to combat this problem by presenting diverse forms of media. We explore possibilities of bringing in local news, podcasts, videos, and more to highlight more perspectives for users. Relating back to one of the biggest topics of the year with COVID-19, we see that political polarization not only divides people by their beliefs, but also can cloud the truth in what they see. We know that bias exists everywhere. Since it's not currently possible to eliminate all biases completely, we provide analysis tools to understand bias better and interpret what you see for yourself. Instead of searching for clarity across all the fact-checker websites, we bring all the relevant information to you, making it easier to focus on staying informed and engaged in current events. We also make it easier to compare the perspectives of the sources. Using the information from the fact-checker sites, it's easy to see the known political stance of a given source. There will also be the option to compare articles from different sources who are talking around the same topic. And finally, the third pain point of news consumers, which stem from the lack of civil conversation. Opening up communication can contribute to depolarizing the current climate. We want to provide a safe and civil space for people to understand and communicate with each other by bringing a variety of reactions to seamlessly engage the user beyond a single like button. We also created a moderated comment section where users can comment anonymously for nuanced discussions. Again, to help users understand how others think, we provide user analytics to show how people are responding differently to the same article and what is being talked about most.
To make our solution come to life, we need revenue streams. That we plan for multiple channels of profit, such as customized subscriptions and seamless advertisements. We will also partner with the mobile company to reach a wider audience. Flipboard is the main news aggregator for Samsung users, which has proven them great success compared to other news and media. Although we want to improve our users' experience in consuming news, we understand to retain our users, we need to sustainably grow. Our roadmap is broken down into phases where we go through the design thinking process and improve our application and release the products in versions over time. These times call for importance of trustworthy news for reliable information. It is now 2020, and this is the only beginning of social change. News and media has been negatively impacted because of political polarization, which ultimately affects people like Jane and us. Newsbots will be the solution to put the trust back into news, creating transparency and establishing constructive conversation between Americans. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's move on to our Q&A portion. Karthik, kick it off.
Yeah, I think this is very timely, guys. So I think you picked a good problem. I'm not sure I'm entirely convinced by the fact-checking piece, because I think part of the issue with the, I guess, partisan divide is one side believes in the fact-checkers view and the other side doesn't, right? So how do you know what's fact and what's not? Because let's say you have journalists from CNN say, hey, this is true. You might have someone who doesn't like CNN or New York Times not believe that, right? I'm just curious, like, and why would people trust a news source, particularly with such a heavy topic, right? Apple has aggregators, other sources have aggregators. I'm not quite sure on the trust piece, how you buy that.
Thank you. Christine?
I have a sort of similar question. I saw the left-leaning label, for example, like who is creating the labels and how do you verify that they are objective?
John?
I was going to echo a little bit on how are you actually, what are you adding on top of being an aggregator? Wasn't super clear. I think it's interesting to share demographics of who's looking at pages, but how do you address some of the privacy concerns in that one as well?
Cheryl?
Good job. Two questions. One is, how does personalization come to play? So when we're talking about ensuring diversity of voices, how do we also ensure, what are your thoughts on personalization? Two is go to market. Is this only for the US or is it worldwide? What is the plan for that?
Emma?
If you do want to foster discussion and have comments on articles that are unique to your application, having those users anonymous, how do you ensure that it doesn't, or it meets the values that you're trying to portray with your product?
Okay, now team, your 4 minutes to hammer all of that starts now.
Okay, so I guess the main question is analysis and fact checking, like everyone said. So we believe that we can't achieve fact checking by ourselves, and there are already numerous fact checkers out there that are doing that for us that are not getting visibility. So I think the main ones are like factcheck.org or even AP, Associated Press, that have their own fact checkers. In terms of fact checking, some people believe that what is fact and what is not fact. I think the fact checkers do a good job of saying, oh, this is the fact, and these are some of the opinions according to that. So what our application would do is aggregate all of those third-party fact checkers so that people will be easily able to find what are facts and what are not facts based on like all of the fact checkers that are already there. And also for the left and right lean biased labels, they all come from so the sources and how we give them labels are already there. So I don't know if you guys know about allsides.com. So allsides.com is like a news aggregator that not a lot of people know about because they don't have a mobile application, but they gather many different people, a group of judges who already work in the journalism world, who give these left and right biases. So they wouldn't be coming from necessarily us, but we hope to partner with them to give a more accurate representation in all of these data. In fostering discussion, like Emma said, we know that a lot of the news companies already like stopped having their comment section on websites and such, and that's because a lot of problems with like internet trolls and so on and so forth. But we know that Reddit is one of the communities that sort of minimize that effect, and that they do that through rules and having moderators. For us, we would be using in-person moderators and AI, using NLP solutions to sort of limit like hateful speech and so on and so forth. on personalization, so we know that personalization is one of the things that are leading political polarization. So what we would do for that would be suggesting topics that people would want to see, not different sides that people want to see. And our target market is American. Well, we're focusing more on American news now because of all the diverse news that's going on around the world. We want to release it to the US market first.
If I could add one more thing about like how not everyone might trust the fact checkers. With ours, we wanted to like present the whole conversation around a certain topic, whether it be the election or whatever, so people can see what everyone is saying about it and then form a more cohesive understanding of the topic.
Thank you so much, team. Now we are on to our sixth team. Next, we have Helpmates, who aims to tackle the mental health crisis proactively by improving the well-being of healthy individuals. So the stage is yours, Helpmates.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah, and with me here today is Amrita, and we are presenting
Hello. Is there anyone in the team who can cover?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Amrita. Looks like Hannah's Wi-Fi dropped out for a second. But we're Helpmates, and Hannah, do you still have control of the mouse?
Hello?
Okay, great. So we want to introduce you to Jake, a 21-year-old engineering student. He's a great student and friend, but he struggles in other areas such as managing the stresses of everyday life. The constant stress often leads Jake to lose motivation and feel hopeless. Prolonged stress is a common affliction that a lot of students face and can lead to a myriad of mental illnesses. In fact, 80% of the 57 people we surveyed reported feeling a symptom of a mental health issue, just like Jake. So we were shocked to find out that 60% of people would have had a mental health issue by age 40. 75% of mental health problems arise before the age of 25, and there's a 200% increase in mental illness among post-secondary students over the past 5 years. So we really want to create a solution where we can target students and help them manage their mental health and wellness. We want to learn why the current existing measures won't solve these problems, and we came up with 5 solutions based on our user research: a lack of finance, a lack of knowledge, a lack of control, and a lack of inclusivity. So a lot of students don't feel comfortable seeking help and want to handle issues themselves, and a lot of the existing resources are specific to individual disorders, and they don't offer solutions for general wellness or solutions catered to students. So we decided to create Helpmates. Helpmates matches users one-to-one to improve well-being through communication. It also surveys student wellness using a scientifically backed scale to track their well-being over time. It also offers resources and weekly newsletters for users to learn how to improve and empower their own well-being. So this is our vision for the app. So when Jake first logs into the app, he'll be greeted with a customizable homepage so that he has easy access to the pages and resources that are important to him. Jake can like the stress management resource page to pin it to his homepage. If Jake navigates the Wellness tab, he's faced with personalized tracking of his well-being and activity over time. This can help him visualize his progress and goals. Next, the Peer Chat tab provides quick access to Jake's connections and suggested helpmates to make communication easier. Jake can also use the Daily Challenges feature to help him learn and build good wellness habits, such as thinking of 3 things he's grateful today. Finally, we understand that communication with peers about such sensitive topics can be difficult. That's why we provide tips and recommendations to make the process mutually beneficial for both Jake and his connections. Even during a peer chat, Jake has easy access to suggestions to help guide him into the relationship. After talking with potential users, we found out that their 3 biggest concerns about downloading a wellness app were finance, security, and privacy. We addressed these issues by choosing to partner with universities so that students won't have to break the bank. A student email is required to be able to log in, which will increase the security of who can access the app. Finally, students can choose a username to preserve their anonymity within the app itself. There are a lot of mental health and wellness apps out there, and we wanted to explain why we're different from them. Helpmates is the only comprehensive solution that covers both peer-to-peer social connection, progress tracking, and tips and suggestions, as well as resources. It also covers the entire spectrum of wellness instead of being specific to a certain disorder or affliction, and it was built specifically for students. Our 3-year timeline for how we want to handle this app is by the end of 2020 to have our first iteration of product ready to download. Next, we want to partner with mental health organizations to be able to bring our solution to a wider audience. Finally, from 2022 on, we want to make sure we bring experts on board and have a premium version ready so that Helpmates users can actually communicate with mental health professionals. Throughout this process, we want to continuously improve based on feedback from our users. Finally, here's our team. We are composed of students who have been through the entire mental health process and are from all over the world and have a bunch of different varied experiences. So we feel we have a lot of...
Thank you, team. That was great, Helpmates. Now, judges, ready with your questions and comments. Let's start with Cheryl this time.
Great problem space to solve for. I have 2 main questions. I wasn't very clear on what the user goal is, what the success criteria is. And second, I believe earlier in the presentation, you were talking about improving one-on-one communication. I'm curious as to what that means. Does that mean, is this with a mental health professional that you'll be chatting with on the app? Or what are the different personas other than the students that are involved?
Thank you. Now we'll go with John.
I had a question around, cool. My question was around, a lot of people look into helping mental health, but there's always the question of efficacy, like how much it actually helps. And in the medical space, there's a lot of burden of proof. And I was wondering how you guys were thinking about that.
Karthik.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute again. I think really well done. I know it's a very pressing topic, but it's also a very challenging one. I wasn't very clear in terms of what the first solution is. Is it when you say you're connecting people to mates? Let's say I'm 20 years old in college. Who are you going to connect me with? And what's the criteria there for the connection? How is the other person qualified to help me out if it's not a medical professional? The second thing is you mentioned anonymity, right? Well, if you look at most anonymous forums on the internet, they end up being a place where it's the internet's trash can, right? In many ways, how do you tie those 2 things together? Like, how do you prevent something like that where you have rampant bullying, cursing, and God knows what in a safe space which is dealing with mental health?
Thank you. Emma?
Yeah, you mentioned some of your competitors in this space, and it sounded like you were going more with the peer connection route rather than professional help. With peer connection, how do you expect users to voluntarily pay for it when you go more of the professional route and it's covered by insurance?
Christine?
Great idea, guys. I resonate with this because I worked at Lumosity, which provides like a cognitive training app. And what was a challenge for us, this is more of a suggestion, is that gamification and mental health or cognitive health go really well together in that people are so determined to make progress over time. The challenge is retention and continued engagement, because once you feel like you've reached a point of improvement, maintenance becomes less exciting to come back for. So that's just one thing to think about is like, how do you break through once a user feels that they've achieved what they needed, how they come back.
And Kenton?
Thanks for the presentation. I think lots of good topics covered. I agree with all the other judges that mentioned, this is a hot button issue. It's a great thing to address and a great problem space to think about. I'm not super familiar with the competitive products out there, but looking at the chart that you put up showing the sort of feature depth that your product would have versus competitors did make me think there might be something structural that prevents one app from doing everything across the board. And so looking at that was a little bit of a, can they really pull all of that off effectively? And so the question to you would be, if the company and product were forced to pick a particular angle or one feature set they're going to go deep on, what would it be?
Got it. So teams, 4 minutes starts now.
First of all, thank you for all of your questions. Oh. Go
Okay,
ahead.
am I back on audio?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I just want to apologize for the Wi-Fi issue I had at the beginning, and thanks so much, Amrita, for taking the ball there. Thank you so much for the feedback and the questions, everyone. So I think we had a couple of questions surrounding what our user goal is and why we are sort of focusing on that one-to-one communication. And this has really stemmed from, research that we've done in this space that's really told us that just being able to talk to another person and communicating with them about any kind of struggles or anything that you're going through can in itself increase the state of your mental health. And so that's really the main focus of our app here, is to be able to provide users with that space to be able to communicate. And so we do offer prompts for them to be able to start stirring that conversation, as well as tips for how to communicate with empathy, so that people can really increase their ability to be able to communicate with others. And that also relates to one of the questions we had surrounding which feature we would focus on if we were forced to do so. And that would definitely be that one-to-one communication, because that's really the key differentiator of what our product offers, because no other app out there really is focused on that one-to-one communication, and that's really the goal of our app. I'll let the rest of the team take some of the other questions.
So I can talk about how users will voluntarily pay for an app like this. So originally we have, since it's geared towards students, we have universities subsidizing those costs of subscriptions, which is also an incentive for them, because often university investment into student life is factored into rankings such as US News. So that's a big way that we're financing this app. And then our premium version that we're planning to launch in 2022, that would have advanced analytics and advanced gamification to make their mental health app journey a little bit more interesting, to keep them coming back. And there would also be like a per session additional fee for the kind of connection with a professional.
Got it. Okay, maybe I can answer Karthik's question here. So 2 important points. One regarding the connection that Hannah already mentioned, and the other one was regarding anonymity and safety. That is something that we did give a lot of thought. And what we realized was we'd be including a sort of a feature where you can unmatch with that particular connection if the term gets if the conversation gets abusive or in that line. And what you'd want to do is you can also report them to the admins, and we'll take care of it moving on, and we'll restrict the user profile coming up later down the road as well. That is one of the checkpoints that we have for anonymity. And answering to John's question regarding burden of proof, what we have is, so we have daily check-ins, we have a weekly progress report that we can do through tests, and users can actually monitor if their health or mental health is improving over time, and they can see a chart. So if the chart is improving along a positive direction, then that's a good enough burden of proof that we feel, because it is a validated test. So we have a lot of tests from different universities that are doing it. And another point is that that will also get users, encourage users to come back to our app. Hey, sorry.
Yeah, and we also had a question about how we're going to deal with bullying on the app. And so that's definitely a big concern as well. And I think the way that we've handled, or we've considered handling that, is we've built in an icon right into like the top of the app, and it's going to be there on every single page. And it's an alert feature. So basically, it can be used for the individual when they're communicating with their peers and they feel either their peer is violating sort of the rules of the app and acting in a way that's in a bullying manner or in an inappropriate manner, they're able to alert the admins for that. And the second feature of the alert is also to let the admins know if they feel like the peer that they're connecting with really requires immediate attention or is showing signs of immense like mental illness, and they require immediate attention. So the feature would be for both of those functions. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hey guys, just really quick, like 5 seconds. One of the fun things, if you do end up building this out, check out in Zimbabwe how they're actually doing really well with depression. They are employing grandmothers as therapists. It's the cheapest solution, but it helps grandmoms stay employed, and grandmoms are across the globe obviously a great source of comfort. So it's a cheap way, but an extraordinarily effective way for helping people with mental health.
Absolutely, that sounds like an incredible initiative.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That sounds very interesting. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. So Henrika actually just dropped off due to her Wi-Fi, but last but not least, let's welcome Pandabox, who aims to set first generation students up for success. Pandabox, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I got you. Just a second. Okay.
5 minutes starts now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joel, and I'm part of the Pandabox team. Our main goal with this product is to become the quote-unquote Pandora's box for first-gen college students. So a lot of first-gen students, they get accepted into college, and it's not that they don't know all these other things that lie under the iceberg, but it's just like kind of blindsides them. So obviously you have to pick your major, you have to figure out how to pay, extracurriculars and all that. But sometimes it's just, the problem is they don't know what's out there. And then doing some research, we found out that 100% of these students did have uncertainties going to college. It makes sense. It's a big jump into like a whole new world. But then out of these people surveyed, only 16% of them found their guidance counselors useful. So it's not a knock on guidance counselors because obviously schools are underfunded and understaffed, but there is a disconnect, and we hope at Pandabox to provide that bridge to make sure that these students are provided the resources that they need to set them up to succeed. So basically, who we're going for is students who are about to make the jump into college or still in their early level or early years in college. Why we're focusing on this group is because as a first-gen student, you may not have the person to go to ask like, hey, how do you do this? Or hey, what is it that I have to do to set myself up to succeed? And then when you go on stuff like Google, LinkedIn, and other things, you're just bombarded with thousands and thousands of results. So we really want to create something to where it's not overloading you, and we're like simple, and so that students can execute on them very efficiently. So in summary, basically we don't know what we don't know. I don't know how many times that like I've seen an opportunity or seen a scholarship and it ended up being I was 2 months too late, or I should have applied when I was a senior, but I'm a sophomore already. So we want to make sure that these students are set up are in front of the ball so that they're prepared to do it, to jump on opportunities once they present themselves. So I'm gonna introduce Juliana, another member of our team, and she's gonna explain a little bit more of how we're actually going about solving this problem. Actually, hold on. She texted me that she was having some internet problems, so let's take it over. But our solution is basically, we're gonna take the guesswork and headache out of researching for school. We do this by having students create a profile, and this profile basically have stuff that you're used to submitting, like your FAFSA, your demographics, and all that. And with this profile, we'll match it with our curated resources, our database, and then be able to give you resources that are relevant to you and that you can actually apply for. And then we're not gonna just throw you into the deep end. We'll offer services along the way, like guides and tips on how to actually apply. And then as we scale to the future, we hope to have a very robust platform to where students that start earlier can start becoming like pseudo mentors. They can start contributing their own resources. And it comes like a very closed feedback loop to where students find this very useful. They start bringing their friends over, and then they just keep piling on that way. And then these are just some of the resources we plan on offering. I think the main thing to get out of this slide is we're trying to condense hours and hours of research into one easy profile that automatically updates. And in terms of market validation, in 2015, over 56% of students were considered first generation. And then based on the total population of college students, of people going into college, that's around 8 million students in 2018. And this number could only go up because as the industry changes, degrees become even more required. So more people going to college and more people need this help. And then when we asked even more students what was their problem, like what was the problem of information, it was they didn't know what to, not that they didn't know what to do, but there's so many choices out there, there was so much to take in, and you have to really, it's hard to like research that stuff. So this is the UI. It's very simple. It's very simple because we know how college seniors are. Like I was a senior, and your future isn't, it's in your mind, but you also want to go to college because you want to go have fun. So we want something that makes sure it keeps users engaged, very low friction, and it's something that you can easily swipe in and out of and provide them with great resources. And then in the future, we want to make sure to always keep it free because we want to reduce the barrier to entry, introduce community events and industry partners for financial reasons, and have our database be AI powered so that we can more efficiently sort the recommendations.
Thank you, team. That was great. Despite technical issues, you guys pulled through. So thank you, team. Now we'll move on to our last set of Q&A. So Christine, kick it off.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the statistic that college students or impending college students don't want to know more about financial assistance. So I'm just curious what that source was. And additionally, yeah, is the end goal that they use the product and end up in the college that they want, or like what is the goal of the user that you're trying to solve?
Kartik?
Yeah, maybe tell me a little bit more about how do you go to market with this, and again, like how do you target specifically first gen and underrepresented minority, because this seems like a product that can be used by all college aspirants, right?
Emma?
If this is a free app, how do you plan to monetize it?
Kenton?
Nice presentation. I really like the focus on the particular user segment. I feel like the sort of pain points called out and talked about are really strong. And I've read a little bit about this challenge and actually listened to a few podcasts with a woman that wrote a book about the struggles that first generation college students have. And actually Lin-Manuel Miranda's first play, In the Heights, is sort of about that as well. So I think it's a really good pain point. I think what was unclear to me is exactly how your solution would solve those issues and challenges better than the status quo, which was like the guidance counselor solution, which I think you pointed out, like these guidance counselors are trying to do the right things. They're just sort of overwhelmed and understaffed. And it wasn't actually clear to me how like the information they would provide on, well, what major should you pursue, what career path should you think about, et cetera, once you're in college would be different than what the app was doing. And so that probably for me is like the key question about how are you guys really going to add incremental value there or differentiate?
And Cheryl?
Yeah, two questions. So this app comes down to the curated resources offered to people. So I'm curious about what kind of resources are you going to offer that is, as said, that would be a differentiator from guidance counselors. And second, going on with the theme of what you don't know what you don't know, how would people find out about this app?
Thanks for that question, Cheryl. Now, John.
Yeah, one thing I like to think about for products is what are you uniquely positioned to do? And for this one, the question I have is, what does making this like a connected app really provide that will potentially expand beyond the traditional like guidance counselor face-to-face? Like what does that add to the ecosystem?
Great. Now, teams, your 4 minutes starts now.
Yeah, so thank you so much for the questions. I'll kind of go in order, but to answer the question about the financial assistance, that research was done just by surveying a bunch of Christian students. And it's not that they're not worried about money. It's just that they've kind of come to terms. We found out that we're gonna have to figure out how to pay for it. And the bigger question is, like, there's already like scholarships, loans, like people kind of have an idea of what to do with money. But in terms of like extracurriculars, majors, classes to pick, that's much more broad, and people kind of have a harder time narrowing down the options in there. And in terms of like the end goal of the actual product and how to like differentiate, I'll kind of touch on a couple questions here, but basically with the solutions that I have now, like one platform that comes up in my head is Jopwell. Jopwell is like focused on underrepresented minorities, but also first-gen students, people who are traditionally lack the resources. But the problem is like these resources aren't usually catered. So I have a Jopwell account and I go on the website, but I get like postings and listings for like head of marketing, head of sales. So there's that disconnect there. What we aim to do with our app is with that profile section, we're gonna have a bunch of like different factors to weigh in. So based on what the person puts in the profile, so like they can put in like, I'm computer science, I live in Cali, I'm interested in fintech and stuff like that. That can sort of narrow down the resources we have on the back end and just provide the relevant information. So like our main goal, I think, is just, there's so much online, there's so much on that people can search. The problem is just trying to filter that noise out and really getting a solid answer to what people are looking for. And that also touches on the community aspect. So that's more of the thing in the future once we scale, because we really feel that some of the best information comes from your peers. And later on, peers or people who've been using app, they can start requesting like, hey, I've done this scholarship, I've done this program. And then that can sort of increase the value that we're providing, because one, it takes the legwork out of us because we don't have to keep curating those resources. And then we already have user like accepted ones that they can further promote. So that comes like a feedback loop to where the more people get on the platform, the more resources are like vetted and presented. And then we can really add a lot of value. And then in terms of monetization, yeah, 100% free is the goal here. We don't want to ever charge. I think our biggest way to combat this is we really have, since it's free, and since there's over 8 million estimated first-gen students, that's a huge platform, and people like events, companies or whatever, they could pay good money to have 8 million eyes on their event, on their resource or something. So that's one way we're thinking of monetization. And then in terms of differentiating, like it's really a user agnostic platform. Like anybody can use it. It doesn't have to be first gen. But I think in order to focus on that, we would put our marketing efforts to first gen, really try to go to events that promote first gen, like schooling and all that. So I think that's more of a question of like focusing our marketing and our outreach that way. But yeah, we don't mind other people using it, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Joelle. Now that was like 7 teams of really cool product ideas that our teams have worked on for the past 3 months. So right now we'll be transitioning to our intermission, where our judges will be taken by Millup to a breakout room to do the deliberation and picking out winners. But for everyone who's staying in here in the main room, put in the hashtag of the team name that you think will win top 3. And then I'll pass it on to Joseph to introduce our next speaker. Joseph.
Yeah, thank you, Enrica. So while the judges are in session, we're going to have Jerry Lee, CEO of Wonsulting, and one of the strategic advisors for Product Buds, giving his plenary talk. So Jerry, take it away.
All right. I love the presentations. How is everybody doing? I know that this was an hour long. You guys sat through it. Let's see the energy level. I think the average energy level when John was here, like 5. Let's see everyone's energy level, 1 to 10. 1 being like, Jerry, stop talking, please. I want to sleep. 10 being like, I'm pumped. All right, we see the 11s, 10,000, lacks me, 1,000,000. Ryan, is that? It almost links to a phone number or something. Jonathan Javier to 1. Okay, Jonathan, here it is. Here's the exit button over there. Okay. I love to see it. I love this. So awesome. Well, thank you guys first and foremost for attending. It's so amazing to see that such a big group of people who are so motivated and who are wanting to advance their careers, especially on a Saturday. Absolutely commend all of you guys. So what I would love to talk about today is how you move forward from here, right? You guys all have participated here. You guys all have made connections. You guys are all connecting with each other in the chat. I would absolutely love if people actually posted their LinkedIn profiles on the chat so that you guys can all connect with each other afterwards, right? Because as you guys will see, as you guys will move on from a year from now, all of you guys are going to start being PMs at different companies. Right. And when I interned at Google, what we did was we had a bunch of different interns refer each other at the end of our internships. And that's what I would love for this group to be. Right. So I see everyone typing in their LinkedIn profiles. And so I love that. I'll quickly introduce myself. So to share quickly about myself. So I just left Google yesterday. I was a senior strategy and operations manager there. And I'll be joining my next opportunity, which I'll be announcing very soon. But what I want to talk about today is how you go forward from here, but a little bit about how you should be going about it, right? And so to share a little bit about that, I want to show you guys a little bit about my background. So I actually immigrated here when I was very young from Korea, and my family was actually the first family out of our entire family tree to come to the States, right? We are a traditional immigrant family, didn't know exactly what we were doing. And most importantly, there's a huge cultural barrier. And so for the first, I want to say 10 years or my elementary, middle school, our family, all we were doing was surviving, right? We didn't know exactly how to navigate the American environment or anything like that. And so as we were moving forward throughout high school, that's really when a lot of my family had financial difficulties. Right. I'm from a first generation background. Both my parents are blue collar workers. And this whole idea of having internships or full-time jobs never really hit home to me. Right. And for those people who are comfortable, who here is from a first gen or low income background? I very proudly announce that I am, because I believe that's one of my superpowers. Right. And when I got into college, I knew absolutely nothing. And that's the first time I saw and I was exposed to people who were, I love how Eugen, Joseph, Ryan, Darsh, Grace, Lynn, I see you guys. I acknowledge you guys, Vicky, right? Because I know how tough it is, right? You guys get into college. You guys maybe had a really difficult time even applying to college. Right? Even when you guys got into college, you had no idea what resumes are, and you hear the students down the hall getting internships at EY, PwC, McKinsey, Procter & Gamble, all those big companies because they have uncles and aunts who are partners and managing directors at McKinsey, and all they have to do is snap their fingers for them to get an internship. Right? And here you are, you guys might be thinking, man, I'm so far behind. But there's really 2 ways that you could be thinking about that, right? The first way you could be thinking about that is saying, wow, I'm so far behind. There's really not much for me to do. I'll never compete. Or you can say, wow, if these people can do it, so can I. Right. And so as you guys are thinking about moving into your careers, I'd say that the main thing that I think has really helped me, especially move up in my career, is really the mentality, right? Especially for those people who are first gen, low income. It's really hard for you guys to keep your head on straight, especially because you're not going to have that family connections for you to rely on, for you to recruit, right? And so the main thing that I would love for everyone to do here is you see everyone's LinkedIn profiles here. Add every single one of them. Try to chat with 2 people, right? Because these people are going to be the ones who are going to be the future product managers, group preams for the future, right? And I'm saying this being 3 years out of my role, where I have friends. Everyone now is at the Netflixes, the Facebooks, the LinkedIns, and if I ever wanted to work at any of those companies, I would just be one message away from getting referrals to 16 companies, right? And it starts here today for each and every single one of you guys, right? Each and every single one of you guys are spending 2 hours of your Saturday hearing people talk about their product management experiences and their projects, right? Just given that fact alone, irrespective of what background you come from, irrespective of the people who are first gen, low income, that tells me that you guys love and appreciate your careers, right? And that's why I signed up to be a strategic advisor for Product Buds, because I see the power in hard work, I see the power in dedication, but more importantly, I see the value in each and every one of you guys. So in short, what I would love for each and every single one of you guys to do today is post your LinkedIns on your chat, post your LinkedIns on the Product Buds community chat, on their Slack channels, connect with each other, but most importantly, be there for each other, refer each other, and when you uplift the community, you uplift yourself. With that, thank you guys so much for having me, and I'll pass it back over to the Product Buds team. You guys are all muted.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Jerry, for that. So now we're going to be moving on to a raffle. So if David, if you can start sharing your screen, and for everyone else who is still with us, if you can check out the spinny wheel, we're going to have 4 special winners who's going to be randomly selected on the wheel for a free 25-minute mentorship call with some of the judges. So we'll reach out through the emails, but if you can start spinning, David.
Wow, so many people.
Yeah, let us know if you are here in the chat. Let's see. No idea who that is, but if you are here, type in the chat so we can acknowledge you. It's like Jonathan knows him.
Okay, cool.
All right. Moving on, one more. Let's do, well, we got 3 more, but if you can spin the wheel one more time, David. So Alex will reach out to you.
Type down #me in the chat, guys.
Akash?
Akash, where are you at, Akash?
Yo, guys, let's get hyped for this, like,
dude,
for this wheel.
Akash, where are you at? Are you here in the chat? If not, I'm going to take this one.
No, give it to me. Give it to me.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, Jonathan, I will take it.
Okay,
Props to the advisors for hyping it up. All right, let's move on. Let's do.
Sorry, guys,
let's spin the wheel one more time. It looks like Akash is in here.
Wait, no. Before you spin the wheel, who here wants to be selected? Type hashtag me. Type hashtag me if you want to be selected.
Wait, Jerry, why don't you go add yourself to one of the raffle yourself off?
Hey, you know, I'm super cautious of my time, but if you guys want to chat with me, if you guys want to talk about interview prep, if you want to talk about career, compensation negotiation, every single one of these, I am more than happy to do so. If you want to do hashtag Jerry, if I see 10 in the next 10 seconds, I will raffle myself off.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's
okay, awesome. Okay, I'll throw myself in the ring. Okay, cool.
All right, David.
Wow, this wheel is so slow. All right, guys, spin. Oh my gosh.
Karthik. Wait, so who, is this
here?
for me? Or is this for the other mentor?
This one will be for you if Karthik is here.
Karthik, my man, let's talk. Karthik, if you're here, say hashtag me. Otherwise, we're gonna keep spinning.
Me, I'm here.
Oh God.
Karthik, you got 5 seconds. 5.
All right, David, can you spin the wheel one more time?
4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, sorry, Karthik. I have his lawyer, Phyllis. Shloka.
Shloka? Is Shloka here? All right, perfect.
Shloka,
Shloka.
awesome. If you want to chat with me, I'm more than happy. Otherwise, you can choose the better mentors, but I am more than happy to chat with you.
We will reach out to you, Shloka. All right. Wheel, please.
That, guys. You're welcome. I raffled off Jerry for him.
Let's chat. Let's follow up afterwards.
We got our Amherst student.
Waijong, Amherst.
Amherst.
You here?
Waijong.
All right.
Yujin, I love
Yujin?
it. Congratulations, fellow Korean. I love it.
We'll reach out to you. I think we got one more. One more winner. Let's see.
Lopez Delgado Natalia.
Are you here with us in the call? I'm gonna give you like 3 seconds to type in the chat.
Oh, let's go. I didn't realize I was
Come on,
muted.
Natalia.
All right, David. Let's try one more. Also his lawyer.
It's hyphy. Thanks for sticking through, everyone. This is gonna be Amish.
Ami, oh my God, Ami
You're
won
so
with
lucky.
Ami again?
with
Man,
Jerry.
Ami, Jonathan, do 16 push-ups right now. Come on, do it for Ami.
Want me to do 16 push-ups?
Jonathan, do 16. If you guys want to see Jonathan do 16 push-ups, tag #16. Type #16 if you guys want to see Jonathan
Bro,
do
I'm not
16
gonna do. Oh my God, dude. Oh my
Break
God.
the floorboards.
There we go.
16 push-ups. I'm in a tank top right now. That's why I put my.
It's okay,
All
man.
right.
It's okay.
All right. You want me to do 16 push-ups?
Dude,
All
you
right.
gotta do it. The people want it. Look at people going crazy.
All right.
I think Alvin wants you to do 16,000, but we'll accept it.
Okay. Jerry made me do freaking 34 push-ups on LinkedIn Live, guys. It's kind of embarrassing, but like whatever.
Here we go.
All right, guys. You
All right, everyone, let's count down Jonathan, okay? He's gonna get ready.
Let's go. Wait, I can't.
Oh, dang. Are this... Dude, nice shoulders, man.
Hey, man. You know,
Wow.
man. Hey, man. I work out sometimes. You know. All right.
Wow, he works out for sure.
Let's do it. All right, here we go.
Okay, let's hear it. All right. 2, 3, 4.5, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 7,
Hey, what are you
8,
talking about?
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Wow.
Hey, I was like 25.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. Give us a #JWoww, please, in the chat. Can we see a #JWoww
Hey,
for that, please?
we're getting energized right now. Okay. So
let's see that.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Jonathan, for the demonstration. But
Hey, you're welcome.
okay, moving on with the event.
So you do an actual push-up, okay?
All right, before announcing the winners, we have Clement online here for our closing keynote. He's a product manager at Blend, co-founder at the first and largest PM community at Product Manager HQ, and one of the strategic advisors for Product Buds. So Clement, take it away.
Thanks so much. Wow, that is really hard to top. So I'm just gonna do my best here. Again, thanks everyone for coming on Saturday. Realize that, this is something that is full of hype. And so again, so glad that all of you are here today and just really honored to be, part of the crew here in terms of sharing. So again, I'm Clement. I am currently a product manager at Blend, which is a fintech startup in San Francisco. And I'm also a co-founder at PMHQ, and I regularly write about product management. And so first off, I just wanted to say to everyone here, I'm just so personally inspired by all of the work that has gone into the entire Project Jam. Whether you've been contributing as someone who is participating in the Project Jam, whether it's the folks who are kind of pulling together kind of all the behind the scenes work, to all of our judges, to all of our mentors, thank you so much. I think just all of the work that's gone in has not been lost on me. So, again, really appreciate all of the effort that's gone into it. And I did want to just share one of the things that, personally, I wish that I'd done earlier in my career was to do these kinds of events, right? I think one of the things that I hadn't done earlier on was I was really shy. And so I thought, oh, well, I don't feel necessarily ready to, do these kinds of events and really put myself out there. To really gain more skills, to make more friends, to meet mentors and others who can help me along in my journey. And so one of the things that I just wanted to make sure that everyone here today hears from me directly is I just really want to praise you and give you that acknowledgement for putting in that time and that effort, right? I think it is a lot to put yourself out there. And so really think that you are ahead of the curve in terms of making your moves as a aspiring product manager or as an experienced product manager. seriously take it from a PM who's been in the industry for a while. You're ahead of where I used to be when I first got started, simply by being a part of this entire event. I think one of the things that we really need to keep in mind, as product managers, is that product management is sometimes, not really about the outcomes, right? It's really more about the process. Product managers, our job is to make sure that we create these really amazing cultures, these engines where we continue to solve for customer pain. And in terms of that process, in terms of working through, how do I speak with customers? How do I work alongside other people? All of these really incredible skill sets are really the most important takeaways that you can take today. And so regardless of the outcome of whatever is coming right after this short little speech, please keep in mind that you've already won by coming, by being here, by being present, and by putting your effort in. By doing so, that has actually empowered you to grow your skill set and has helped you to break past any of your fears in terms of jumping directly into product management. And again, I just want to call out, what are some of the things that you've learned by being a part of this process? Well, of course, first off, you got to go ahead and identify, what market do we want to tackle, right? Like, whose pain do we want to go solve, right? You've learned, how do I speak with customers? How do I get their attention and really validate the problem that we're trying to attack? How do we actually dig deep and solve for those pains, right? You've tackled how to collaborate with others. And on top of that, in a pandemic, right? Like, you've done all of this virtual networking, virtual collaboration, real challenges that real product managers face every day on the job, right? And not just that, for all the teams who worked alongside mentors, one of the most incredible skill sets that you got to pick up was the ability to manage upwards. I think one of the most interesting things about product managers is that many times our own managers aren't necessarily directly involved in our work, right? Like, they're kind of leading at a more strategic level. And so it's on us as PMs to identify to our mentors, what are the skills that I want to grow in? What are the things where I need you to jump in and to help unblock me so that I can keep my initiatives forward, right? And so when you think about all of the skills that you've gained as part of this project jam, again, identifying customer pains, reaching out to folks, validating ideas, prototyping, working alongside folks, managing upwards to your mentors, I think these are all really incredible skill sets that will serve you well for the entire rest of your career. And so you have a leg up simply by participating. I think another thing that I just want to really hammer home on is many times people don't become product managers unless they've already been doing the work of a product manager. What do I mean by that? Well, the thing is, let's go ahead and take a quick step back of, how do hiring managers and recruiters think? One of the things that they're always really worried about is, what if the person that I'm hiring in terms of a product manager isn't good, right? They're really, really risk averse. And why is that? Well, that's because product managers are what we call multiplicative, right? So we ensure that teams are tackling the highest impact pieces of work. We ensure that folks are doing kind of things in a much better way. But if we weren't there, right, whether that's for a day, for a week, for a month, even for a year, people could still run a business. It's just that we are multiplicative, right? We're not engineers, we're not designers, we're not the ones who are actually doing the actual work of delivering the product, but we're helping align people to make sure that we're creating multiplicative value. And so when you think about multiplication, right, a really good PM can increase results by 10x, 100x, but a bad PM could not just multiply the impact by 0x, they could actually multiply by -x, right? And so because of that, it is so important to recruiters and to hiring managers to identify that, oh, this candidate has a track record of being a product manager, right? That's why they need you to have done product management before they're willing to bring you on as a product manager. And so again, take it from my own experience, right? I had actually done a lot of product management work for 3 months, 6 months as a product analyst / user researcher before I was formally granted the title of product manager, right? And so definitely don't be discouraged if you haven't yet gotten the title. Demonstrating your track record first is what really matters, because that is how you actually get the attention of a hiring manager, of a recruiter, to demonstrate that you are not a risk. You are actually going to be able to solve their pains on their behalf, and you're the best product for their problem, whatever it is that they're trying to hire that product manager for. And so again, kind of as part of this product jam, this is just a really great low risk training ground, right? There's no real revenue at stake, right? And so this has just been a really great way for you to be able to gain those skill sets. And again, I think one of the things that I hope kind of all of you have as part of this entire project jam is that you have more of an appreciation of the kinds of work that product managers are doing every day, right? Again, props to all of our organizers for really assembling this framework for here's how you're going to be tackling the project, so that kind of you are able to work through all of these steps. And I hope that you take these mindsets with you as you interact with products every day, whether that's Gmail, whether that's Instagram, whether that's Zoom, whatever products that you're using, try to think like a product manager, right? What were the decisions that went into making the product work this way? What customers are being targeted by this product? What are the pains that are trying to be solved? What are the competitors? How are these pains being solved, right? When you start thinking like a product manager, then you're able to deliver a lot more confidence and a lot more impact as a product manager. And of course, just taking a quick step back, again, I just really want to thank all the mentors and all of the judges for being a part of this entire endeavor, right? I think one of the things that is just so incredibly important is that product management, quote unquote, on paper, isn't really that impactful, right? It's only when you really go through a real live example with someone's real experience, that's when you actually learn how product management works, right? Because the thing is, there's so many different pieces about product management. There's psychology, right? There's finance, there's business, there's marketing. There are all these things that we learn in school or in case studies or what have you. But it's only when someone comes in with their real life experiences that you can actually see, oh, well, these are the nuances we need to worry about. These are the corners and these are the pitfalls that we need to make sure that we're watching for, right? And so again, thank you to all of the judges and all of the mentors for being here and providing your firsthand guidance. This, our new generation of product management talent, they wouldn't be able to grow as fast without your deep contribution and all of your efforts. So again, thank you for going above and beyond in helping to bring up this new generation of product talent. Really, really appreciate all that you're doing. So again, thank you for being here. And the thing is, I'm just so excited and so confident about each successive generation of product managers, right? I think, my own generation really benefited from kind of the trailblazers that came before us. And I hope that we're doing our part to continue to grow the next generation and to keep that moving forward. I think the one thing that we all need to keep in mind is that product management is still such a new discipline, right? It's not something where there's really clear career tracks. It's not something where, there are degrees about it or whatever. And so it's all on us to make sure that we're giving back to the community and we're helping one another grow and sharing all of our insights, right? So again, for just everyone here today, as you're launching new products, as you're kicking off the new chapters in your careers, look for other people who might benefit from your learnings and share your thoughts with them, because that is how you'll be able to validate, what is it that I learned, right? Like, is this actually something that other people can learn from? And by doing so, you crystallize your knowledge and you yourself become more of a talent and more of a contributor as well. And so just in closing, I hope that all of you have had a lot of fun. Again, just so excited to see so much hype, so much engagement. And I hope that all of you just really enjoy all of the memories, the learnings, and the relationships that you've built today. I'm just so excited to see the new generation of product managers come to be. And again, thank you so much for all of the organizers, judges, mentors, etc., for really helping to make all this a reality. So again, thanks everyone, and drum roll, let's find out what the results are.
Thank you so much, Clement, for all the insights and all the energy that you bring along with Jonathan and Jerry. We're so appreciative of you and the others for bringing so much helpful knowledge to our community. And so without further ado, now we're going to get to the winners of the Project Jam Demo Day. So Joseph, can you take the stage and announce our third and second place winners?
All right, so for third place,
Guys, we need
got,
a drum roll.
So for third place, we have Team Cumulus taking home Amazon gift cards. And yeah, thank you so much for participating. We'll have feedback later on, but Team Cumulus takes third place. Grace?
Woo! Okay, everyone give a clapping emoji to that Zoom. And congratulations, Team Cumulus. So now second place winner. Joseph, you want me to do it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So can we get another drum roll, please? Second place winner of Project Jam Demo Day is Team Tecto. Congratulations, Tecto. You all did also an amazing job. We're very excited. So you all are also going to be going home with some Amazon gift cards, and we'll send you emails with more details afterwards.
For sure.
And last, but certainly not least, let's get a drum roll again for first place of Project Jam Demo Day. Everyone, who's excited? All right, the first place team is Boomerang.
Boomerang. All right, congrats Team Boomerang. Well, yeah, we'll reach out to you as well for the Amazon gift cards, but also special thanks to you to the judges and everyone else, all the other teams who participated. all the feedback that we got and the questions. I'm sure they were all super helpful towards the projects for yourself.
Yes, wow, that was incredible. And for all the other teams who did not place in the first, second, and third, don't worry, you're not going home empty-handed. You'll also receive emails from us, and you'll get a combination of mentorship with other product leaders in our community, resume reviews with a Google PM, and features on the Product Buds website. So we're so thankful for all of you for participating in Project Jam this cycle, and so thankful. And does anyone on my team have any final comments to make?
I had a quick one. So yeah, the judges and I had a good conversation. It was definitely hard kind of choosing and figuring out who would place. But with that said, if you are part of a team, if you guys could stick around afterwards, the judges have like a lot of like very super helpful feedback and guidance kind of for your projects. So at least for like the first 3 teams and Wander, amazing job for product design. And as well as the other teams, if you guys have the time, the judges are willing to kind of take some time as well to go through your projects and give you kind of brief feedback and guidance. So if you could stick around, that'd be super helpful. And the judges, I'm sure everything we'll say is gonna be super helpful too. So yeah, that was all from my side.
Thank you everyone for joining. I wish we had some music, some like closing nice music off to cap this all off. But yeah, thank you for spending your Saturday mornings with us. Enrica?
Maybe you can sing for us.
No, maybe next demo day.
Guys, just one last thing to say. For everybody who attended, just make sure, like, at the end, if you're looking for product management roles or any other kind of roles, maybe a developer, designer, doing a project always helps you. It can be a side project, it can be like a team project, it can be just a 3-day hackathon. But the whole point is you have an artifact to display. Like as one of our speakers mentioned, that any recruiter or hiring manager is scared of making the wrong decision while they hire. So the best thing you can do is portray how you can do a project and show them your skills. Like how Jonathan mentioned that he did the Snapchat version. So kudos to all of you for attending this, and I hope all of you get something out of this. And definitely give a shout out to our judges, our speakers, and Product Buds if you decide to post on LinkedIn. But hopefully this was helpful for all of you.
Yes, thank you to our judges, our speakers, our sponsors, and my amazing team for making this event happen. So I appreciate all of you for sticking around with Product Buds, and let's keep building up the Product Buds community and continue to sprout, grow, and flourish in our product careers. Yep. So with that, we are at the end of our event, and anyone who is part of a team, feel free to stay behind.
Yep, thank you all for coming, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Joseph. Judges, I guess this is all for you guys now. Kind of go ahead and like